Everyone talks about leadership, but what does leadership actually mean? Is it about just having a title, or is it about something much deeper? If you're stepping into your very first leadership role, whether that's in school, work, or in your community, and you want to make an impact from day one, this episode is for you. What's going on, aspiring school leader? I am Dr. Donovan Smalls II, educator, best-selling author, school leadership coach, and I help aspiring school leaders confidently land their first leadership role and lead with impact from day one. Today's episode, we are talking about a topic that I think we need to explore a little more as a standalone subject, as opposed to attaching it always to instruction, which I do believe it is important. I think we need to talk about leadership. And so today's topic is, what is leadership? Leadership in and of itself. Yes, there are going to be times where we talk about instructional leadership because that is the narrative, that is what we're supposed to be as school leaders. However, I think it's extremely important to not overlook the fact that leadership in and of itself is a skill. It is a skill that I believe separates the good from the great. It is a skill that I believe is going to really, truly impact our level of student achievement in our ability to be able to lead people and the organization. When we talk about leadership, we often attach it to instructional leadership. And I believe that that is true, right? We need to be talking about ways that we can improve instruction. But we cannot lead people. We cannot be great instructional leaders without leading people and the organization. And so let's talk about what leadership is as a standalone topic, right? And so I want to talk about 4 pillars of leadership today. Now, I do understand that these pillars are going to not only apply to you in your leadership role that you are aspiring to attain, but they also apply to your life. And when you come to this particular podcast, I want you to understand that we're not just talking about leadership. We're not just talking about being great instructional leaders. We're not just helping you get to the next level in your career. We're also talking about how you can be a better leader in your personal life, because that's what it's all about. I'm a firm believer that whatever your personal life looks like, many times is also going to be a reflection of who you are as a leader. Because guess what? The first level of leadership is ourselves. Our first level of leadership is the level of influence that we currently have, right? And so before we try to get to the next level in our careers, we need to take a self-assessment and start looking at who we are as human beings, and are we properly leading ourselves first before we try to say that we want to lead other people. So pillar number 1, as it relates to what is leadership. Leadership is influence. And I know you've heard this often, but it's true. Leadership is influence. The last thing you want to do is to believe that you are actually leading, but to turn around and nobody's actually following you. And the way that you actually lead people is by your influence. It's by connection. It's by leading with your humanity. It's not falling in love with a title to the degree where you are operating from the authority that has been given to you through the title. Because we don't often talk about this a lot, right? The hegemony, the level of power, the power structure that naturally exists when it comes to you being a school leader. But you can't lead from that, because you could be leading from fear, you could be leading out of compliance, and you want to truly be leading from influence. Leadership isn't just about being the boss. True leadership is influence. It's about inspiring people. It's about guiding them and bringing everyone together toward a common vision. So what's the vision? As you are trying to be this amazing leader, the standout leader that you know you can be and that you desire to be, what is the vision? What type of leader do you want to be? So now we're getting into leadership styles, right? I'm a true believer that when you become a leader, you are a leader of people, meaning you are a servant leader, that you are identifying the gaps that exist within the organization, and you are deciding intentionally to fill those gaps? How are you going to support your teachers? How are you going to support your students? How are you going to support the school community at large? Those are things that you need to be thinking about as you begin to step into school leadership. And so when we talk about leadership being about influence, it's about genuinely making those connections with people so that they trust you, because people don't want to follow people they don't trust. And trust is key. So here's the good news. You don't need a title to lead. You can show leadership right now in your current role, whether that's you being a classroom teacher, on your team, at work, or even in your family. And again, I go back to family because sometimes we can get so caught up in trying to get to the next level in our careers that we neglect the people that we should ultimately be influencing and leading in positive ways, and that's our families. That is our first ministry, our family. And so if you're not taking care of your family, if you're not committed to the people that ultimately love you to the degree that it is unconditional, because when you become a school leader, there are going to be people, and I'm going to say it, there are going to be people who are going to oppose you just because you have the title of leader, just because you have the title of assistant principal. There is this tension sometimes that exists between teachers and administrators, right? And so it is your responsibility, though, as the leader, to figure out ways to bridge that gap through genuine connections. And you can start right now within your classroom, within your family, or whatever your occupation is. Start now. Don't wait for the title. Start leading right now. Pillar number 2, as it relates to what is leadership. Leadership is self-awareness. Great leaders always start with self-awareness. You have to know your strengths. You have to know your weaknesses. You understand the values that drive you as a leader, as a person in general, right? And one thing that my grandfather used to say, and my dad always says, it's you have to study yourself. If you are not spending quiet time to do some self-reflection on who you are as a person first, as a leader second, then it is definitely going to be hard for you to truly understand and have that level of self-awareness to lead other people. Why? Because you're not going to truly know how to interact with others. You're going to think that everybody should be led the same way when that is not true, because everyone is different. Unfortunately, we don't want to talk about equity as it relates to student achievement and giving students what they need, but it is true. And the same goes true as you as a leader, because everyone is different. Your teachers are different. And so you need to be able to tap into what motivates them. And how will you know that if you do not build genuine connections with them? The more you know yourself, the easier it becomes to guide and influence others in positive ways. Let me say that one more time. The more you know yourself, the easier it becomes to guide and influence others in positive ways. Sometimes we don't spend enough time trying to get to know ourselves, because when you get to know yourself, you can truly start to understand your tendencies, right? Your strengths, your weaknesses. Tap into the strengths of other people, so then it helps support your weaknesses. And then that's ultimately going to help you become a better leader, a better listener. And so that is extremely key, right? You have to be able to be self-aware. Who are you as a person? What type of leader do you want to be? And are you self-aware enough to do some self-reflection, spend some alone time, and truly start knowing who you are and the values that are going to drive your leadership? So number 2 is leadership is self-awareness. Number 3, as it relates to what is leadership, I'm a firm believer in this pillar. Leadership is service. You don't get into leadership to be served, but you get into leadership to be a servant leader. Some people think that leadership is about power. I talked about this earlier. Naturally, you are going to have a level of power that comes with the position. But real leadership is about service. I want you to think about a school principal who serves both teachers and students, or a manager who always has their team's back. And that is going to be you. Yes, your teachers are going to be on the front line in terms of teaching each day. They're going to be in the field. They're going to be able to tell you things from a perspective that you don't have when you become a school leader. But any issues, any like true decisions that need to be made, yes, you need to do those things collaboratively, but you also need to be someone who is going to stand in the line of fire for your teachers when things come toward them that you know are going to disrupt their ability to teach at high levels, right? As a leader, it is your ability to keep things away from them so that they can do what they know is best. Like they can do what they do best, right? And that is teach at high levels because they are the experts and you have to trust them when you get into that leadership position. This is not your chance to then tell everybody what to do and what to say and how to teach, right? We do things collaboratively to help our students get to the next level, but you have to have a level of trust in your teachers because they are the experts and you are not, as it relates to the subject matter. You might be the expert in terms of learning the leadership tendencies and the decision making that's going to be involved, right? But at the end of the day, we're not making decisions in isolation. But you have to understand that leadership is service. You get into leadership to be of service, not to be served. When you serve others, people begin to trust you. That's what it's about. And trust opens doors to even greater opportunities. What I've noticed in my role as assistant principal within my 4th year, what I'm learning is that trust, it truly builds a level of advocacy among the people that you are leading. When people can trust you, when they know that you are going to be somebody that's going to solve problems as opposed to continue to harp about issues, they are truly going to be your biggest advocate. And so you have to understand that you're coming into this role of leader to serve, not to be served. So pillar number 3, as it relates to what is leadership is service. And number 4, leadership is impact. Leadership doesn't mean doing everything on your own. It's about creating an environment where other people can give their best. If people are not doing their best, if they're not living up to the level of expectations that you and your administrative team or your supervisors, whoever, have set, then I want you to do some self-reflection. Again, we don't point the finger. We do the self-reflection. We do the work that is needed and ask the question, did we create the environment where people can actually do their best? Or are there hurdles in the way of increasing student learning that we have not properly addressed? Those are things you need to consider. Again, when you become a leader, you no longer have the opportunity to point the finger at anybody else. You have to now understand that pointing the finger at other people, it just doesn't exist. But what does exist is you constantly holding up the mirror to yourself, looking in the mirror, doing levels of self-reflection, whether that's journaling, whether that's opening up your notes app and dictating your thoughts and reflecting on those things on a daily basis. That's what it's about, to figure out, okay, what adjustments do I need to make? How can I improve in this particular area? How can we as a team be more collaborative? What systems are broken that need to be fixed? Those are the type of questions that you ask. We don't point fingers. And I want you to always remember that. When you step into leadership, you are now void of pointing the finger at anybody else, and you are now a part of creating solutions so that people can thrive and operate to their best ability. You have to create that environment. At the end of the day, a leader's legacy is defined by the positive impact they've made on people, on teams, and the community. So I want you to remember that and think about some of the examples of great leaders that you truly look up to, that you can truly tangibly like think about what makes them great and start to emulate, not necessarily emulate, you can emulate some of their characteristics as a leader, but I also want you to try to take little by little, like what is it about this particular leader that you love, that you admire? How can you adopt some of their principles, make it your own, not try to be a copycat, right? You want to be an original. But how can you adopt the great things that people are doing and make them your own? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he inspired millions through the civil rights movement. Abraham Lincoln showed courage and unity during one of America's most divided times. Eleanor Roosevelt proved that leadership can be rooted in service and advocacy. And in business, Steve Jobs built a culture of innovation that changed the world. How can you take some of the principles of amazing leaders that you look up to, adopt those, make them your own, and then apply it to you as you are striving toward being the school leader that you know that you want to be? I want you to truly do some self-reflection. Think about, what is leadership? What does it mean to you? Because guess what? When we talk about leadership, many people have their own philosophy about it. And I agree, right? Leadership can mean many different things to different people. And so I want to hear from you. What do you think is the single most important quality of a great leader? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I want to engage with you in this conversation because I truly want to hear from you in terms of what you truly think about leadership. What are some of the important principles and pillars that you try to live by? Is it service? Is it advocacy? Is it you fighting for the people that are most marginalized in our society? What is it? Let's talk about it. In my Elevate Your Impact coaching program, we walk you through how you can become a better leader, how you can ace your interviews, how you can truly start to transform school communities in ways that are authentic to your particular leadership style based on how you define leadership. You know that you need support. You know that you need coaching and mentorship. And you also know that coaching and mentorship is how you can get to the next level as it relates to you becoming the school leader that you want to be. So if that's you, reach out. Let's have a conversation. Let's see how coaching and mentorship can support you along your school leadership journey. As always, I hope you have a great week of teaching, leading, and learning. Take care.